Okay. So I just want to spend like 5 minutes talking about Manchester United today. So the game ends Fulham nil, United 1, and that leaves Fulham in 10th, United in 12th. Um, Overall, a pretty even game. Shit from us, shit from them. Quite literally was the entire game. We are pretty much even on possession, 50.9% possession for Fulham, 49.1% possession for United. We had 4 shots to their 9. They had 3 shots on target. We had 1. And if I'm not mistaken, the only shot on target that we had was Lisandro's goal. Unfortunately, Ahmad gets robbed of a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful goal that is going to be a later talking point in this video, but it's involved with where I think Manu should really be playing in the future. But yeah, so we have 1 shot on target. Overall, an even game of just really lethargic football, but even then, they were the dominant team. At Craven Cottage, we really struggled to create chances. Although I do think that the team looked decently compact, and I do think even under Amorim, the one thing that I can say consistently is that I don't feel like we can get sliced through as easily as we used to under Ten Hag, especially like last season. Like it was getting just to a point where we quite literally, I could predict every single goal, and it was, if it wasn't someone ripping through the center, it was someone ripping down the middle and then passing into the middle because Casemiro couldn't catch up. So very, very, very much more, at least in my opinion, tidy overall as a midfield unit and a defensive unit. And honestly, part of that has to do with the fact that we low-key to be playing a back five instead of a true back three, because we have fullbacks as wingbacks right now. Like Mazraoui and Dallo just are not they're not it. Like if we're gonna go forward and we're gonna play the football that we want to see under Amorim, it's not going to be with either of those two players on the wing, I think, ever, actually. Like, I think the ideal system maybe doesn't even include Dalla, because although he's okay going down into the attacking third, I think Dallo looked really good when we were a back four and he was a right back who looked more attacking minded because he was coming from a right back role. So it's like, wow, for this right back, this guy is actually pretty good at getting into the final third and putting in a final cross. But when it's like your main output is recover and then, like make bursting runs into the final third consistently, he's shown that like that's just not his game, and that's not even a fault to him. He's being asked to play a position that's just not his position, and like for most of his career, actually, under United, I actually feel bad for the guy. The dude has quite literally played almost everywhere but his position, and he's done pretty decently overall as a football player, in my opinion. Like he was quite literally our left back for almost all of last season. And now he's being asked to play left wing back consistently, and now it's right wing back, and it's like he's just among many other players of this team just not fit for purpose. So that's what the issue here is. Like, we're compact, and that's a good thing. But the one issue, or one of the issues, is we literally pose no threat whatsoever to opposing teams. And I think a really big part of that is the fact that we're playing fullbacks as wingbacks. Like Dallo and Mazraoui are great fullbacks, but they're okay wingbacks that can't attack. So they can defend, and they're pretty good in like the little middle of the park because both of them are technical enough to be able to play centrally. And if asked to invert, they can do that job pretty well. We saw that with Dallo under Ten Hag pretty often last season, and we would convert into that back three. But like, he's not a midfielder. He can't pass. He's not a right wing back. He's not athletic enough to like burst past players. He's athletic in that like he's always fit, which is great. But like, I think the lack of technical ability and just the fact that he's not a winger, like I don't want to take shots at him. He's a great player, but he's a great player he's a good player who's being asked to play a tremendously technically demanding specialist role that he's not capable of. And so I think we're just quite literally witnessing the fact that like we play with 5 defenders on the pitch, 2 midfielders that aren't really going to be creating much, because when you have Ugarte and Menu for the most part, which I know we didn't have against Fulham, but in typically when we play, like we have Ugarte and Menu next to each other, and those aren't particularly going to be creative in the way that Bruno is creative with his passes, like Kevin De Bruyne, or like Odegaard creative in the idea of like playing the ball into the field and creating chances. Kobe would do that with carrying the ball through a crowd or getting past a couple players. Like that's his game. But you're gonna ask him to play and be the tempo setter next to Ugarte. That's not his game. Ugarte needs a metronome. He needs a player that can like dictate the tempo next to him. If we're gonna even play Ugarte as like our consistent ball winner, which I'm still not fully convinced of just because of his technical ability, but that's just for another time. But you think about like the fact that like we have 5 defenders on the pitch, 2 midfielders that aren't necessarily very creative with their passing, and then 3 forwards. Like what? We can't play the football that Emre wants to play like this, because this isn't how he plays actually. His wingbacks are players with immense attacking potential, not just okay attacking potential. And even saying okay is like giving too much. Like how many times have we seen Diogo Dallo on the left side attacking, getting to the fullback, and quite literally not even thinking about checking in and passing him. He just stops and turns and passes back. And that's because he's not a winger. He's not as attack minded as a winger who consistently wants to beat his man, get to the byline, and put a cross into the box. Like that's how a winger is taught, and that's how a winger plays. Like if Garnacho had the discipline to defend, that's what you would want essentially. You want the defensive capabilities of Diogo Dallo combined with the attacking tenacity of Garnacho, just bombing down the wing, who can recover possession and then is capable, more than capable, of beating his man. So it is a demanding role. So that's why I say this is not to knock a player like Nusayr Mazraoui, who fellow Moroccan international. He's an excellent player, and especially when he was put in just the right back role under Ten Hag, he was excellent. When he just plays his real position, he's excellent. He's intelligent, he's technical, he's athletic. But playing as a left wing back, playing as a right wing back, even like when he I was gonna make a comment on the fact that he played as a 10 in the Champions League, but or Europa or whatever under Ten Hag. But he's an excellent player, but a lot of great players at this club right now are just not, or are being shown that they aren't as versatile as Emre may want from them. And that's the real reason why this isn't going to be able to consistently build with the players that we have. It's so funny because like almost all these players I would call into question of whether or not they're able to play the system like truly, or whether they're like shaky but they can somewhat fit into it, and we'll see in the future. But some positions are more I guess poignant in the fact that they need service than others, and I think especially that's left wing back. We're linked to Patrick Dorgu right now for I think we bid 30 million euros or something like that, and they want 40, and I genuinely can't answer whether or not this is a signing that we should absolutely try to do everything we can to get it, and I think we're going to find out tomorrow, because I'm recording this on a Sunday, January 26th, so I'm actually interested to see what happens tomorrow. But I've seen like compilations, like footage, so like I can't tell you what I think he is, but he plays for a side that's battling relegation in Italy. But he looks quite literally like what Ruben Amorim wants in the footage, at least. It seems like, and obviously I'm not a specialist on this, but it seems like if he is this like athletic, incredibly athletic, capable in bombing back to defend and then bombing down the wing to attack, strong enough to show his man off the ball, controlling the ball in tight spaces. It looks like he's technical. If that's what he is as a player, and he's only 20 years old, then absolutely. Oh wow, my monitor just turned off. Then absolutely, I think we go in and we spend that 40 million. I think we absolutely should be spending that 40 million if he is that, and obviously that's the gamble. I'm a little worried about this becoming another case of United overspending on talent when not properly researched enough or not a reliable enough scouting, you know, because he plays in Serie A, like he's playing for a team that's battling relegation. Like, is this a 40 million euro worthy signing? You know, is this not just another daylight robbery case? Like, that's what I'm worried about right now. But one, I'm just glad I don't have to make that decision. But two, I genuinely think, I mean, this is just case by case, but I think we should gamble again. I'm not gonna lie. If there's something else in the market for the same price or whatever, then like fuck it, like get the equivalent. But either way, spend that amount on someone really, really good in that position, please. Like, just please. Like, Dalo's a right back. Mazzarawi's a right back. We need a left wing back. I actually personally, I like Tyrone Malacia more than the other two in that position. That's just my opinion. But we need a left wing back, quite literally. And if Dorgu is going to be 40 million euros and he's athletic and he's technical and he can carry the ball, get that guy in, please. There's 4 days left of the transfer window. Like, I just don't want a repeat of what happened last year when Ten Hag was like, I need a left back. And Ineos were like, well, you know, I know you had Reguilon, and he's actually been playing consistently for you guys. And I know that Shaw and Malacia aren't even back from injury, but the physios are saying that you're absolutely going to have the two of them back before January ends, so you don't even need to worry about it. Luke Shaw doesn't play for the rest of the season, and Malacia doesn't play until this season. So, and that's what I was talking about, Dallo being a left back for most of last season. Why are we flirting with that being 2 seasons in a row? What is this ownership? Genuinely, why is this club cursed? Like, City has crushed this market, dude. They have crushed this market. Obviously, Pep has shown that he's someone who deserves to be backed without a doubt, and that's why they've spent the money so vehemently, you know, the same way in which they opposed the 115 charges, which is technically 130 now, by the way. But anyways, do your research. It's true. But we are 4 days away from the end of the month, and the only thing that we've successfully done is actually offload an attacker, and that's Anthony to Real Betis. And I'm not saying we lost something immense, right? And I really, really, really wish him the best of luck. I actually want to see him succeed, and I really, really hope he turns his game around, because I know he's actually a really good player who's just really unconfident right now, unfortunately. But yeah, I truly wish that kid the best of luck, or that man the best of luck. But we've only offloaded an attacker. We have only thinned out our attacking options, even wingback options, which I thought he was decent at. What are we actually doing? Like, it's actually 4 days from the end of the month, and we don't know if we're getting a left wing back. And I was hoping we'd be honestly proactive more so and get a left wing back and maybe a center midfielder. But I mean, honestly, maybe if Collier and Ugarte can become the midfield duo, that'd be great. Or like a Collier Bruno duo, something like that. Or I really like Ugarte when he's on his game, but I don't know. We shall see. But I really hope that we can at least sign a wing back. It sucks that like this is where we've come to. But at the very least, just get us one player that can fit into the system. And I think if Dorgu is that player, then like honestly, bro, spend that 40 million. And I really hope that tomorrow I wake up and refresh Instagram and I see, here we go. And fuck it, if it's 40 million, it's 40 million. Like, it's a lot of money, yes. And I just think it has to be done. Like, we need a left wing back. We're crying out for it. But when I think about my ideal 11 here, I think if we could fit in a left wing back like Patrick Dorgu, um, we would be able to play. Honestly, if we could have like Dorgu on the left wing back, right, and Martinez on the left, Maguire in the middle, De Ligt on the right, and Ahmed on the right wing back role, because I think that's where he should be playing right now for us. Just because although he's excellent in the 10, we are actually crying out for a really good wing back who has winger capabilities. And if we have Dorgo, who's still technically a wing back, not a winger, he's still going to be a little bit more defensive minded. At least I would assume so. But either way, if we could have like Amad Diallo, Dorgo on the left, and then in the middle, we would have Ugarte and like Collier, or Ugarte and Bruno. But I think Ugarte and Collier would be excellent because you have legs and legs. I think with Kobe Maino and Ugarte, where we struggle is we have legs and then we have good ball carrying through the lines, but not necessarily the legs. Like Mainu is not an athletic. At least like you don't think of him as like an athlete, and that's fine because it just doesn't have to be his game, and he can be a world-class player without being incredibly athletic, because I think he's a player who best plays towards the opposition box, as close to the opposition box as possible, genuinely. So I think if you have legs with Collier and you have the legs with Ugarte is already really good at just sweeping everything up. But I think Collier is honestly a good understudy. I think imagining a really good, solid duo of Ugarte and Collier, and that's like a very defensive duo, I agree, but we would have really good passing players in front of them who are very technically gifted if we put Bruno and Menu in the 10s. And I know that the 10s we typically see as like maybe I don't know. I think this could be like the tactical switch that maybe not both of them need to be very athletic, but technically gifted. And Kobe Mainu and Bruno Fernandes next to each other, with Amad Diallo to the right, who's also very technical. And remember that although this is a 3-4-3, when we attack, ideally Ruben Amorim wants to play 3 in the back, 2 in the middle, and 5 at the top. I mean, I don't fully understand the system, and I'm not claiming to, but from what I've seen, it makes the most sense. And it's actually something Ten Hag was trying to get. He was even trying to get ideally a 3-1-6, but I mean, which would have been great, but I don't think we executed that more than like one game, I think, and even then it wasn't really working because the press was so disjointed, and in the middle you have Casemiro behind, and yeah, Casemiro. Please get him out. But I would love to see, and honestly, what's our next game? Because I think, honestly, whatever our next game is, okay, that's what I thought. I think we should experiment. FCSB, that is Football Steaua Bucuresti, is a Romanian professional football club based in Bucharest. Okay, so they're sorry. Our next team that we're playing is FCSB, but we're going to them. But I really think that this could be a good game to experiment. Martinez in the left center back role, Maguire in the middle, De Ligt on the right. Ideally, we have Euro, but I think that we should. I think I like Maguire and De Ligt in the back, although there needs to be a little bit more through the line ball progression. I think, though, this is the issue, right? I'm going to make a quick comment and go back to what I think the starting 11 should be. Going forward, I really want Euro to be a starting center back, obviously. And I think some of the things that really make him so appealing, or made him such an appealing prospect, was not only his ability to be a defender, obviously, like his best potential is his recovery ability, his recovery pace, his last ditch tackles, long ass legs. Like he's made some incredible tackles. I think it was against Martinelli and against Arsenal, that last ditch tackle, like it was like a few minutes into him being subbed on or whatever, and it was just so perfectly timed. Oh no, what am I talking about? Not Arsenal. Against Darwin Nunez, against Liverpool. Sorry, I'm cooking right now. But last ditch tackle against Darwin Nunez, and it's like those are like the little glimpses that we're Loki gonna be feeding off of right now for a while, because he's not the finished article. It's going to be like little glimpses of just like a holy shit, this kid is crazy moments, but like sprinkled like one in every like 7.5 games, a crazy moment's going to happen just because he's at that age right now where it's like he just needs to focus on consistently playing okay and good and like always making his passes well and making the proper tackles and winning his duels and his aerials, and then letting those like sparkly moments come in more and more and more until he's confident to like really play. And that's when it's going to be like, okay, this is the potential, and ideally that's the path that it takes. And I think they really see something in this kid because they're really like making sure that like he's not the potential that he seems to have been bringing. In other words, let me reword that because that was just like a word scramble. I don't know what the fuck I was trying to say. They're very careful with him because they see him as such an exciting talent. So they want to introduce him properly and just really have it just like a casual until Euro is just like undisputed, starting every single game in maybe the center back role. I mean, not the right center back role because of his recovery pace. But I wonder though, who plays right now? Maybe not Euro, but I think De Ligt in the right center back role, Maguire in the middle, and Martinez on the left. But in the middle, I think, yeah, let's get some legs. Let's get a Collier and Ugarte together. And in left wing back, I really think we should play Malacia over Dallo or Mazraoui. Like, he might not be as like defensively sound as the two of them, but he's a lefty who can play decent in that role, and he's quick. And honestly, the past couple of games, I don't think he's been that bad. Like that first game back, he like got out sprinted, and like quite literally, it was just like that man is not fit. He got hooked at halftime, I think. Dallo came on for him or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like Malacia seems like a better option because we get someone who can like pass down the side of the wing. Like we can finally play the way that Amram wants, like a left-footed player who can pass down the channel. I think that's like the move. So I think Onana in goal, Maguire in the middle, De Ligt on the right with Martinez to his left. And then we're gonna, I think ideally, I don't know if Amram will do this, but I think this is what Amram should try because he's been giving Collier minutes. And I think Ugarte and Collier would work really well together. They would really, really do well in cleaning in that middle. And then in front of them too, I think they should be supported with the 2 10s in front of them, with Menu and Bruno. I really think that this is something we should experiment with. I think that was something that was tested in the last 10 minutes of this game, and I'm so glad it was. And I really, really, really hope that Amram sees what he saw in that last minute. He quite literally assisted a beautiful goal that should have been allowed. And that is quite literally the position that Menu needs to be playing in. He needs to be a 10. He is the guy that will change it, bro. I just see it. I see it. Menu, Bruno. In those two, play Xerxes. Play Xerxes in front of them. Please play Xerxes. I love Højlund, you know. I feel really bad for him because he's getting cooked everywhere. And I just think this is a case of confidence. I don't think this is a case of skill. I don't think it's a coincidence that when he was confident last season, he couldn't stop scoring. And I don't think it's a coincidence that since then he hasn't scored. I think that's related, and that's not an excuse. I still don't think he should be starting in the 11, but I think it's an explanation of what's happening with Højlund. If I'm not mistaken, he's 20 years old. Like, he's not going to be... He's, first of all, definitely not the finished article, but he's not going to be the most confident player if he's not scoring. And I think that's just what the case is with a lot of these players at United are good players, and they come and their confidence tanks. Like, honestly, my honest opinion about Anthony, like, I just think he's a good player who got his confidence tanked, bro. He scored on his debut against Arsenal. He hasn't been able to play like that since. These things are not coincidental. I think that footballers are just much more fragile than we give way. And if that's what people mean by it when they say they're not good enough, sure, then I agree. But I really think he's 21, by the way. I really think it's just a case of a lot of these players just losing a lot of their confidence. And if the team around them were a better performing team, it would be less likely for so many players to fall in confidence if one player is bad 8 players are bad, and it's bad. It's always bad if one player is bad at this team, because the amount of players that can just step up and control the team, control the game, whether or not their teammates are playing well, is very low. So it's those games that we play really well. It's when everyone plays well. And of course, there's moments when it's mainly Bruno and Ahmed this season specifically. We see moments in which players step up and they show that they're capable of rescuing a game. But overall, like, nobody in this team can really play to their limit or push it to what their limit is on that pitch unless everyone else is. And spare like a few players. I think Maguire's always trying. I think Ahmed, you can always say he's always trying. I think Bruno, for the most part, is always trying, but maybe not trying in the right ways all the time. But either way, I should finish this 11 by saying Ahmed Diallo on the right wing back, next to Ugarte and Collier. To the very left, Malacia. I think Manu and Bruno should play in the 10s. I think we should have Xerxes back up top. Let Højlund regain his head through training, because right now I think he's just receiving too much pressure in the media. I think the media are just too ruthless. He's 21 years old. I think he needs a break from media. United can be ruthless. I think that's why they're so careful with Euro, because they don't want that same treatment, because Euro is a bigger investment. Although not financially, he is the ceiling is like, can you secure a back line for the next 10 to 15 years type thing. So, and that's what they see in him. And that would be excellent. We don't know if he's going to go to Madrid. Hopefully not. But I'll finish this off by saying, of course, Onana in goal, just because I don't think I've seen enough of the binder, but I think there's a shot for that, and we could talk about that another video. But overall, I think I'm going to end this video here. This is a long video. I don't know if I'm going to edit any of it. If I do, I'll just clip it to make it like digestible a little bit easier. But this is my first video in this regard. I think I want to make more videos like this, talking about, first of all, this team, because they're one of the most important things to me. But not even just that, but like also, I love talking about football. I love talking about United. It's literally all I consume is United content. So I'm always consuming content. I'm always wanting to talk, and I don't really have an outlet. So this could be my outlet. And whether that's 0 people, 1 people, 2 people, 3, whatever. I'm gonna learn on how to speak more concisely, because this video is almost 28 minutes, at least uncut. Unlike myself, but that's getting cut out. That cannot be in there. But anyways, I think I'm gonna head out. I would love to make more videos like this, so let's see what happens. But anyways, take it easy, my friends. Be blessed. Peace and love.